The history of the English language really started with the arrival of three Germanic tribes who invaded Britain during the 5th century AD. These tribes, the Angles, the Saxons, and the Jutes, crossed the North Sea from what today is Denmark and northern Germany. At the time, the inhabitants of Britain spoke a Celtic language, but most of the Celtic speakers were pushed west and north by the invaders, mainly into what is now Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. The Angles came from England, and their language was called English, from which the words England and English are derived.
The invading Germanic tribes spoke similar languages, which in Britain developed into what we now call Old English. Old English do not sound or look like English today. Native English speakers now would have great difficulty understanding Old English. Nevertheless, about half of the most commonly used words in modern English have Old English roots. The words be, strong, and water, for example, derived from Old English. Old English was spoken until around 1100.
In 1066, millions of the conquerors, the Duke of Normandy, parts of Normandy France, invaded and conquered England. The new conquerors, called the Normans, brought with them a kind of French, which became the language of the royal court and the ruling and business class. For a period, there was a kind of language class division, where the lower class spoke English and the upper class spoke French. In the 14th century, English became dominant in Britain again, but the many French words added. The language is called Middle English. It was the language of the great poet Chaucer 1340 to 1400, but it would be difficult for native English speakers to understand it today.
Towards the end of Middle English, a sudden and distinct change in pronunciation, the great vowel shift, started, with vowels being pronounced shorter and shorter. From the 16th century, the bridge had contact with many peoples from around the world. This and the renaissance of classical learning meant that many new words and phrases entered the language. The invention of printing also meant that there was now a common language in print. Books became cheaper and more people learned to read. Spelling and grammar became fixed, and the dialect of London, where most publishing houses were, became the standard. In 1604, the first English dictionary was published.
The main difference between early modern English and late modern English is vocabulary. Late modern English has many more words, arising from two principal factors. Firstly, the Industrial Revolution and technology created a need for new words. Secondly, the British Empire, at its height, covered 1/4 of the Earth's surface, and the English language adopted foreign words from many countries.
Today, American English is particularly influential due to the USA's dominance of cinema, television, popular music, trade, and of course technology, including the internet. But there are many other varieties of English around the world, including, for example, Australian English, New Zealand English, Canadian English, South African English, Indian English, and Caribbean English. The total number of English speakers worldwide may exceed 1 billion. and the language will almost certainly continue to evolve over time. Thank you very much.
Começou já? Eu não quero ver como ficou, né?
1400. Você fala de novo, sabe? Fala de novo essa última partezinha. Ai, eu confundi. Middle? This language is called Mila. 40? Eu esqueci a palavra. Calma. Chaucer 1342. Nossa, tá difícil, gente. Nossa senhora, empaquei aqui. Chaucer 1342, 1400.